Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video. Tasks and the backstack are fundamental concepts when it comes to navigation on the Android ecosystem. In this video, I will go into the details, explain both these concepts, as well as different launch modes of activities. So in the end, every app out there has its own so-called backstack, and that is really nothing else than just a stack of screens or activities. So you can see, let's assume we have a browser app here and the browser screen is currently active where the user can enter some kind of URL and navigate to a website. But what happens now if the user wants to go to a different screen of that browser app? Let's say they click on their bookmarks and a special bookmark screen pops up on the screen. As soon as that happens, this new bookmark screen is pushed on the backstack. So then this backstack looks like this. And the active screen is this bookmark screen here, which is currently visible on the screen. If the user then, for example, clicks on Add Bookmark to add a new one, a new bookmark screen might be pushed to the backstack, and the backstack looks like this. And the same way we can push new screens to the backstack when we navigate to them, we can of course also remove or pop backstack entries, so a screen in this case, from the backstack as soon as the user goes back, so clicks the back button, then this is simply popped, and the active screen will remain the previous screen. And when we can push new screens to the backstack, we can of course also pop them. That means when the user goes back, so presses the back button, then this current screen is popped from the backstack, and the new active screen the user is on will be this bookmark screen again, so the previous screen. And this stack here, this is really just considered the backstack in Android, and this is a core concept of whole Android. So now that we know what a backstack is, we can also understand what a so-called task is in Android. And a task is nothing else than the whole thing. So a task just represents the collection of multiple screens or activities that belong together and that form a backstack together. So backstack is just how these screens are arranged, which is on top and which is not on top, and the task just kind of combines all these screens into one unit. And this way we can have lots of different tasks since we don't only use one app on our Android device, but probably lots of these. So you can see here the user used their browser app again. They were on the browser screen, they opened the bookmark screen, went to the new bookmark screen, and maybe at some point then they click on an Instagram link, which will open the Instagram app. And that will now form a new task since that is a new app. So they then might land here on the post details screen where they see an Instagram post. From that post details screen, they could go to a specific user profile. So that is pushed on the backstack and to this task here. But Android will remember all these different tasks throughout such a journey. Because when the user is now here on this user profile screen and they go back to the post details screen and then click back again, what we expect is that they get back to the browser because that was the app that was previously open before they went to Instagram. And that is exactly what happens and why we have this concept of tasks. And now additionally to that topic, there are so-called launch modes. Launch modes allow us to set the behavior, so what should happen when a new activity gets pushed on the backstack. And by default, the launch mode is called standard. So if we don't change anything, this is what will happen. So let's say the user opened their Chrome browser, they went on some kind of website, then they went to another app and clicked on a link there, which will again open in the browser. What will happen in that case is that just another browser activity will be pushed on the backstack. So they will have two browser activities. And if they pop this top activity from the backstack, they will get to the previous one. So by default, whenever we say, hey, please open this activity in Android, a new instance of that activity will be pushed on the backstack. Then the next launch mode we need to cover is single top. So again, let's assume we have our browser open already, but the user goes to that browser from another app, let's say Instagram again. If we set this launch mode to single top, and we then open this, then nothing will happen. So the link from Instagram will just send the user to the already active instance of this activity. So that means if there is already an existing task with the activity we want to launch on top, then we won't add another activity on top, but rather just send the user to the already created one. This is actually launch mode you need quite often in Android because it might happen that you send your user to your app and you want to avoid that when they go back, they can go back to the same activity, so to the same screen. Next up, we have the launch mode, a single task. So let's say we were in our browser, our bookmark activity is open, and then from there we opened the browser activity, and then we again left and opened the same app from Instagram again. What single task will now do is, so if a single task is assigned to this browser activity, it will make sure that new instances will always be launched inside of a completely separate task. So when would that be useful, and why can't we just send the user to this already existing browser activity? Well, for example, imagine you are reviewing your Instagram stories and then you click on the link which you want to open with your browser app. But you only want to open that specific link in your browser app, and as soon as the user goes back, they should go back to Instagram and not to this bookmark activity in this case, because that is what would happen if you would not use single task in this case. Since without this, the user would be sent to the already existing task, which has an already existing backstack here with the bookmark activity on top. And if the user then goes back after opening the link from Instagram, they will not get back to Instagram, but back to this bookmark activity, which is usually not what you want in that use case. And a very similar launch mode to single task is single instance, which is the last launch mode we have here on Android. Single instance will also launch a different task, which is independent of the already previous active task. But the difference to single task is that this new browser activity which was opened is completely isolated. So inside of this new task, you're not allowed to open any other activities. So only this one is allowed to run here. So this would, for example, make sense for payment apps. So let's imagine PayPal has a payment activity, and that payment activity could just be invoked from other apps who use payment with PayPal. Then it would make sense to launch that in single instance. So on the one hand, it gets its own task, but on the other hand, the user can also not really leave it inside of PayPal and get somewhere else, or make other activities interfere, which could also be a security risk. But other than that, it's probably a rather rare launch mode of this. So I hope this clarified the concept of the backstack, tasks, and launch modes for you. If so, then definitely subscribe to this channel to not miss any other videos, and especially these new Android basic videos where there are much more to come. So definitely stay tuned. I wish you an amazing rest of your week, and I'll see you back in the next video. Bye bye.